Welcome back to our channels, Warriors. We are still growing. I want to thank all you guys for following along on this journey with us. And if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, go ahead and smash it right now. This episode right here is going to be about, did I disappoint my father? All right. By walking away from the California Department of Corrections after 16 years. Okay. I've already explained that my dad was a correctional officer. He was in there when it was still prison, right? He joined in 1993 and retired after 22 years of service in 2014, right about the time I promoted a sergeant. So let's take it back to the beginning, all right? My dad's Mexican. Okay, so is my mom. So you got to understand that type of mentality that's already coming into the picture. Hardworking individuals, they only know one way, and that's to work your ass off, which is not a bad thing, right? It's actually a good thing. Providing, right? Providing for the family, putting food on the table. Not to take away from any other race. That was my upbringing. My upbringing. All right, so I was actually born in Hanford, California. My pops at the time was working in the fields up there. My mom was young. They were both up there. I was born. Then after that, they brought me down back to Brawley, our hometown, right? And that's where I was raised ever since. My dad had these jobs, like kind of like a janitor at the hospital, like a custodian officer, like working at apartments, like painting the apartments inside, putting the trim. And I remember because I was a little kid and he would yell at me not to step on anything with nails, right? So in 1993, I was 9 years old. I specifically remember when he got that letter or manila envelope in the mail, and he kind of opened it up at the front door and kind of broke it down to my mom. Hey, I got accepted to the academy. I was 9. I remember I started crying because I'm like, man, like, my dad's going to leave. He's leaving. He's going away for like a long period of time. 6 weeks, man. I thought it was a lifetime. So that was, like I said, when prison was prison, the 90s, you have to understand what was kicking off in LA, Los Angeles. It was the Wild Wild West. Look at any documentary, any gang banging documentary. That was off the hook, right? We're kind of seeing stuff return to that nowadays. But so off he goes, right? 6-week academy. Not the 16-week academy that we went to. 6 weeks where you're cramming everything all into one. He had a little blue pickup truck, a little Toyota. And he came down one weekend, and I remember because that's a far drive from Sacramento area to Brawley. That's a far drive. That's like over an 8-hour drive. But probably missing his family and wanting to see, he did that, right? Sacrifices. Couldn't see it then. I was just a young kid. I would get scared when he was at the prison. Like, scared that something would happen. I mean, I didn't know anything about prison other than, there's bad people that go there. So I was worried about his safety. I never said anything. I never said, Dad, I'm worried about your safety, but that's what it was in my mind. We didn't really communicate much. He wasn't much of a talker, right? And anybody who has ever worked with him or interacted with him would say he's not much of a talker, and that's the truth. I remember my dad coming home after second watch and just taking a nap and being tired and not short-tempered, because my father is not short-tempered, but I can tell he's kind of going through it. And at the time he was working ADSEG. I would later come to find out all of this because he would tell me after the fact. So ADSEG was ADSEG at the time, man. The big ADSEG yards, not these little individual cages, dog cages that they have. The big one with the yard gun, with the water cannon, which I did get to work in the I did get to experience that, the big ASU yards, prior to them switching over in Centinela. So that's where my dad was, Centinela State Prison, 1993, early 90s. I go off to the military. I go off to war. I come back a disaster, a mess as a result of my traumatic experiences, right? PTSD, being an alcoholic. I put them through it. I put the family through it. Kept saying I wanted to be a CO. He kept discouraging me from it, telling me no, go be a cop on the streets, go do this, go do that. I didn't. I was so young, man, and green and naive. It was just I couldn't see it. I couldn't see anything, right? Couldn't even see the hand in front of my face. It was wild. It was I was going through it. Partying nonstop. Partying for a whole year straight. Didn't miss a beat, didn't skip a step. Partying every single day. The whole year of 2005. Didn't skip a beat. I end up in jail as a result of all that partying. I call my dad from the little phone that was in the dorm in there, and he tells me, "Hey, you got a letter from CDCR. I don't even know if you can get in now with this, with what you got going on right now." He was disappointed, to say the least. Let me tell you that much. I get out of jail. The following day, I drive up and go take the written exam in Rancho Cucamonga. I pass the test. I go to the background investigation, which was a couple months later. The guy, he's like, "Whoa, hey man," because I disclosed it, right? You will not get a chance if you omit things and or you lie. He's like, "Hey, what's up with this? You were in jail a couple months ago." I said, "Hey, sir, I could explain everything. I came back from Iraq. I was hanging with the wrong people, this and that." And he's like, "All right, man, I'm gonna give you a chance," right? I get in the department. I'm still wilding out. Like drinking heavily, right? But it was on the weekends, binging. I'm not going to make excuses. It was alcoholic behavior, right? Let's fast forward. That was the rundown, right? That was the get down. I got to work with my dad for 8 years, man. Not every day, but there was times where I worked with him in the clinic, right? He was already an OG. He had already put his time in. He had already got those good jobs, the clinic, right? I was bouncing around coverage, so I landed there. It was an opportunity that I'm forever grateful for and will never forget. Because as a kid, as a boy, that's what you always want. You want to impress your dad, follow in his footsteps, right? If that is your scenario, right? Everybody's scenario is different. Everybody's life journey is different. But for me, that was it. I had made it, right? In my mind, I thought I had made it. Making him proud, finally, because I had been running amok. And I promote to sergeant at RJD, and I already told you, man, it wasn't, people ask me, do you think you resigned because of RJD? Why couldn't you transfer back to Centinela? Hey, you should have transferred to Calipad. It's awesome over here. I told you guys, the reason why I wanted out of the department, right, was because when I was PIO, right, I saw I don't know what she was at the time. Associate Director, Chief Deputy Director, Kim Seibel was doing to the department, was doing to RJD as a result of her get back, right? Her retaliation. Retaliation at the highest levels. So I would never, ever transfer anywhere within the department when I saw the corruption at that level. That's a wrap. Ain't gonna do it. Not gonna happen. Couple in with the fact that my managers and bosses at RJD were straight on board with the unethicalness, man. And I'm talking about like individuals that I used to work with that just got promoted to captain and just switched it up, changed up the game. Coming after good cops, coming after good people. And none of that sat well with me. None of that sat well with me in my stomach. None of that sat well with me in my heart. I end up getting my wife pregnant, right, in 2017-ish, 2018-ish, she was pregnant. Man, I was so happy. I was so ecstatic. She was pregnant. I ended up going to the Crisis Response Team Academy, CRT Academy. the OP1 in San Luis Obispo, man. My wife was supposed to go meet up with me there. And the day I finished all my courses, my final examinations and training, I called her and I said, "Where are you at?" She's like, "I'm at home." I said, "At home? Like, aren't you supposed to be on the road?" She's like, "I was bleeding last night. I went to the hospital and I got checked. The baby didn't have a heartbeat." Man, I was crushed. I was devastated. I was devastated that my wife endured that by herself. And that was going to be my first chance at being a father. That was it. And I immediately called the sergeants there, the instructors, and said, "I got to go. I'm out of here." The graduation was the following day. I had already finished everything. I said, "I have to get out of here. I have to leave now." I end up going home with my wife. Very, very sad, very, very heartbreaking. I was going through it again. This time I was sober though. Like going through it, like, damn, man. Fast forward again, I promote to lieutenant. More BS at work. I get my wife pregnant again. This time she has a heartbeat, right? I'm static, but still nervous. I don't want to get too excited because of what had happened prior. And I'm like, man, like this is what I want. This is what I've been wanting. I was already older. I was 34, and I'm 38 now. The gender reveal is a daughter. I'm like, hell yeah, like this is what I wanted, a daughter. Of course I want the boy, still do, to carry the family name, but I'm like, this is it, like, I'm doing it. I have my daughter, and like, 1 years old, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, man, and I can tell that my daughter is observing me. I can tell that she's very smart, man, and I'm not gonna go. Any father will say their kid is smart, but legitimately she is. And I'm like, I realize I'm bringing home work, or yeah, I'm bringing home all the stuff that's happening at work, like in my mind, in my chest, in my feeling, in my stomach, the disgust, the utter disgust. Only one word I could summarize the corruption is disgust, man. I guess if I didn't have ethics, it wouldn't be a thing to me. It would just roll off my shoulder like it's nothing, right? If I didn't care so much about the troops, the officers, it wouldn't be a thing to me. It would just roll off the shoulder, go come get a paycheck, and come home. Nah, man. On top of that, being sued by inmates for frivolous allegations and going under investigation for use of force, just all kinds of just everything, man. Like compiled, a light bulb went off. Like it's time to go. That's a wrap. And I told you guys when the associate director of RJD, Ron Davis, came down and pulled all supervisors into the warden's conference and said, "You guys are no longer allowed to put handcuffs on inmates because when they assault you, that's your fault. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to go under investigation." That was it. That was it, man. I did 16 years. I was involved in a lot of incidents. I witnessed a lot of things. I made mistakes. Hey, your boy ain't gonna lie to you. Your boy made mistakes, man. Mistake after mistake after mistake. I learned. Didn't repeat those mistakes. And nah. Ultimately, I chose a family. Ultimately, I chose my daughter. Right? That's cool. That's it. How does my dad feel about it? He was not thrilled. He wasn't ecstatic. He wasn't jumping for joy. I believe that initially he made. I believe initially he probably thought I made the wrong choice. Nah, he was up here yesterday. We got to hang out, authentically hang out. The conversations we had were legit. So he's on board now. Like he sees it. He sees how happy I am. Like, this is it. Like, you only get one shot at life, you know. Like, are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it being unhappy? And before I close out, I want to say I'm extremely grateful for everything my parents did for me, the hard work that they put in, the hard endeavor, situations, encounters, things that probably went against their ethics and morals and values, and still stuck it out to put food on the table, right? But there's more than one way to skin a cat, man. There is more than one way to earn an income, spread your positive message. Do not, do not ever put yourself in a position that you cannot get out of, you cannot move from, you cannot juke to the left, juke to the right. All right, that's a message for today, man. Grow, growth. If you did one thing for so long and that thing is no longer serving you or serving others, listen to your gut. All right, take that next step. Keep pushing forward.